Hello and welcome. This is the Tiffnessfitness podcast. My name is Tiffany, and this week's guest is Stephanie Dykstra. She is a coach, juggler, boxer, badass stunt woman, gym owner. She's all around awesome. So you should definitely be following her on Instagram. She's at Steph Iron Lioness, and she's lovely. We have a really awesome conversation. So I'll let you get right into it, and I'll see you at the end.
How long have you been doing like strength training stuff? Like how long have you been in the industry of strength? Like
I've been in the industry now for 15 years.
Wow.
Like working wise, but I've been doing athletics my entire life. I was the kid who couldn't sit still and was doing like flips and weird shit, and you know what I mean? So yeah, I had to always be involved in like martial arts or like school sports. And that's just a way to just keep me calm. I feel like if I don't have some sort of physical activity, I would not be a nice
spiral out of
person.
control.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would just be a cranky person.
Yeah. That's why I run. Like I know a lot of people don't like cardio, but cardio and like running is like the quickest way for me to feel sane again. Cause
Absolutely.
I regularly like my anxiety is like up to here, and the army likes to pop it up higher on the reg.
I'll bet.
So,
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet.
So it's like a nice way for me to be like, you know what? If I just go run for 30 minutes, like I will almost absolutely feel better at the end of that. Sometimes I run with Delilah and she makes me not feel better at the end of it because she decided to be a little demon chaos monster. But you know, 9 times out of 10 it feels good. And when she does turn into a little demon chaos monster, I have a treadmill upstairs, and that's what happened a few weeks ago. I went for a run. She was a brat the entire time, and I was like, this is terrible.
She looked over, she's like, yeah, I was.
Yeah, I was a fucking monster. And so I was like texting my husband. I was like, this dog is 1,000,000% your problem when we get back, and I'm not dealing with her. And I went upstairs and I ran for like another mile just to and I just did sprints. So I would just get the like endorphin. It's one of that serotonin. Give it to me. So I need that. It keeps me sane. I wish I liked it more up here, but I'm hoping whenever we move next, the elevation is lower, and then I can like run more again. But it's hard up here because I'm so high up. I'm training. I'm at Colorado. It's like where they do Olympic training and crap. Fun. Like there are still some days where I get up and I'm like out of breath, and I'm like, what is this place?
Are there nice places to hike around you?
Yeah, I can't really hike though because I have a dog who hates everything.
I see.
You
two need your own show. You two need your own show.
She's decided to be involved. I think she got a little amped because I had like a client, and I posted my little afternoon Instagram post, and then I sprinted upstairs, took like a 3-minute shower, and then sprinted down here to come do this because I if I didn't do it then, I was gonna have to like wait for 4 hours after because I have like clients after this, and I didn't want to be sweaty. So she's like amped right now because I got amped, and now she's breaking up some cardboard because she's a brat. Stop it. Oh my god. She's such a brat. And yeah, but I wish I could. I've done a few of the hikes here, but it's like days when I put her in camp. I did the Manitou Incline, which is like a big one here. It's like stairs straight up a mountain. And you go up like 2,000 feet in elevation or something insane. Like it's a mile straight up. And that one was like a big one that everyone talks about. So I did that. It was really hard. But
you did it.
I did. I think I would like to try it. I might try it again one more time before we're out of this area. Because we did it and it was in December, so it was a little bit icy. So there's some spots where it was like just a little bit scary. But I think I could do it faster now that I like know what I'm in for. Because people like do it first time or do it for like endurance. Like insane. The people I saw people running up that mountain.
Wow.
And I was like, there was this lady, she had like a baby on, like a 3-year-old on her back, and she was just passing me, and I was just like, I can't. How are you doing this with an extra 40 pounds on your back? I'm dying right now.
Yeah. How's the baby doing?
Baby was just sitting there. There was a point, because we like caught up to her at one point, and the baby was able to talk. So it was like had to be like a 3-year-old or so, and she was like, she's like, you have to stop wiggling because I'm trying to crawl up this spot and I will fall backwards if you keep leaning backwards. And I was like, oh my God, please don't fall backwards, baby. Yeah, so she's badasses hiking. There's like, the people had little like sticks. There was like trekking up the mountain. I was like, good for you. Then Garden of the Gods a bunch too, but Garden of the Gods doesn't really feel like a hike so much as like a scenic walk. Because it's like paved, which doesn't feel hikey to me. There are parts that aren't, but do you do hiking at all?
No, but we do walks around the neighborhood. We got lots of nice green spaces and parks, and we're right by the lake. So you mentioned cardio. So I think people always think cardio is like, I do a run. I gotta just sprint. Yeah. You sometimes just go for a walk, and you know what? You're not supposed to like it. You know what I mean? You need it, and you don't have to like it. And usually for me, it's like a negotiation. The first like 6 minutes, I'm like, okay, halfway to quarter of a way to part way, and you just start doing weird math. But then after a while, it starts to feel good. And that's what we have to remind ourselves and our clients is that, sometimes it sucks. You won't want to do it. Just do 6 minutes and see how it goes. Yeah. And go for a walk.
I mean, I have my psycho over here, my little pup. So I have to, like, there's not really a negotiation at this point. It's like, if I do not walk this dog, she is going to drive me up a wall. And so I will walk the dog. Or else do like, it's a little bit worse in the winter because you can't be outside for as long and whatever. I know you all have winter up there too. But actually, you know what we have? We have smoke from Canada right now in Colorado.
Sorry about that. Yeah, from Alberta.
Yeah. We had some sort of like, we had all the smoke, and I was like, what is happening? Like, there's no fires here. It's been raining like hardcore here. I was like, what is this smoke? And we looked up, I was like, Canada. I was like, Canada's giving us it's usually California. California is sending us their fires.
Yeah, it's a wild time. Wild.
It's not good. Hopefully it clears up there, and I guess in theory it'll clear up down here. But on your like 6 minutes things, that's how on some days, like that's how I do my workout. I will set a timer, and it's like if I have my plan is out the window, or I'll do some sort of very modified version of it. It's like, hey, here's my 20-minute or 30-minute or whatever amount of energy I can decide to muster. I just have to move for that long. It doesn't matter if I just stretch for this 20 minutes or whatever, or if I just do snatches every minute on the minute. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, as long as I do something for that time frame. It's like, all right, I won. And then usually 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh, I can keep going. Like, I can keep this going, and I feel better about it.
Yeah, it's an important strategy that they should just teach, but we're not taught. Like, I was taught that in martial arts. Just get through the door, do the warm up, and then usually you'll feel better, right? But we don't, like, that's with most tasks that we don't want to do, like taxes. I
don't know what you're talking about. I think I can go.
Just do 6 minutes, and if it's truly horrible, then take a break and do something fun.
Yep. Yeah, that's literally how I got through my taxes too. It was like, I would set a timer and be like 10 minutes. Let me just do something for 10 minutes. And then by the time I get through 10 minutes, it was like, I'm in the middle of this thing. I might as well finish this page or whatever the heck I'm doing. And then I finished it. And then it was still stressful because I had to pay the government a lot of money, but
yeah,
but then it was over. So it wasn't my problem.
Yeah. Well, the part about owing the government money is they don't need it from us. Do you know what I mean? There's plenty of other places to get it.
You don't know where are they taking my money? I make so little. Why do you want my money?
Yes.
I don't understand.
Yeah, that part's pretty weird.
Rude. It's
Rude.
annoying. Yeah, I know it's such a big pain in my butt too, specifically because like I'm running a business, and then but I'm also like a California resident still, even though I live in Colorado, and my husband is making more of the money. So it's because we're in military, so we don't have to be a resident of the state we're living in. It's very weird and very confusing. Next year, presumably, I will have to do that with 3 states. So I'm just paying someone to take care of it for
Good
me.
job. Delegating.
I've already decided. I'm already like setting money aside. I was like, I'm not doing this. I had 4 mental breakdowns doing my taxes this year because I was just so confused about the state stuff, because I don't understand. I essentially don't have a state right now because I don't live in California, but I'm a California resident, but I live in Colorado, and all of my money and my business income is very weird.
Yeah.
And this is deeply uninteresting for a podcast about fitness. It's a business podcast now. I guess I could make the big bucks, start telling people.
Well, fitness,
invest in Bitcoin.
Fitness is deeply uninteresting, though. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not that interesting. It's good for you. We do it, and we try to find ways, especially as professionals, to make it like, look at this, we're doing squat. we're trench trainers. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we're going to change the format of your squat now. So you're going to do squats in supersets instead of just sets, and now it's more exciting.
Absolutely. And I know you just said this is not a podcast about taxes, but I feel like fitness is a tax. Do you know what I mean? Fitness is a tax. You got to do it. It's just part of your life. If you want a good quality of life, fitness, you have to find what you love about fitness and kind of get into that. And you might not enjoy it, and you might get frustrated, and you might have those breakdowns, but ultimately it has to get done.
It's good for you, and you got to do it. Yeah, one way or another, figure it out. Yeah. How did you get because I know you do boxing and you do juggling. How did you find those types of training? Because I think those are both super fun. I'm obviously a little biased on the juggling front. How did you start with the boxing and all that sort of things?
Well, I've always had a fascination with martial arts, so I did a lot of different martial arts. I've done Taekwondo, Kung Fu, kickboxing, Muay Thai. So that's where it kind of always had good hands. So by that, coordination wise, just rhythm wise, I've always been really good with my hands. So coaches usually focused a lot on my punching just because it was crisp. And honestly, a bunch of stuff happened around, I would say 2010, 2012 with women's sports and what was allowed in the Olympics. So boxing became a sport that was allowed, that women were allowed to do. Always a part of the Olympics, but women weren't doing it. And not to say I was going to go to the Olympics, but that creates opportunity, that creates more training, that creates more interest. So I really kind of honed in and focused on that because it was fun. And I like the discipline. I know you have a military background. There's the discipline of it that I enjoy, and the practice. And just being focused,
working towards a thing. I think
Absolutely.
It's really, really nice. That's why I started doing sport too. Because I was an athlete. I grew up, I played soccer for a really long time. I played soccer up through my sophomore year of college. But I had to stop. I had a few too many knocks to my head, a few concussions. So I was I have to be done with this. I don't want to be I had a girl on my team get fully knocked out on the field in front of me, and she'd had one more concussion than I had. And I was like, wow. And I played goalkeeper. So I was man, I'm getting hit harder and more often than she is. I think this was my sophomore year, and I was at a city college, and I was I think I think this is it for me. I don't want to be with my team sitting in a bus in a hospital parking lot for 6 hours, hoping that she can wake up well enough that we can go home. So I stopped playing after that. And then I went on to do my other couple of years of college and whatever. And I was teaching swim and whatever. But I wasn't really, I didn't have anything to work towards. And I'm so insanely competitive. And so I like working towards things like that. And somewhere years after I finished college, a couple of years after I finished college, I had like looked up what to have for a home gym because I was training at home, and kettlebell came up. And then later I found Instagram and followed a bunch of people, and I ended up following sport people. And I was like, oh, there's like a thing I can do, and this is non-contact, so I won't jangle my brain up. And if I do, it's there's other problems happening if I if I drop a kettlebell on my face, which I guess I'm closer to doing now. But and so I was like, I guess I can just I'll do this. And that's how I started doing sport and stuff. And I got to like be competitive again, which is something that I like really, really needed. So I could push myself, and become, a strong person, and like want to do training again. Cause after I finished soccer, and like I would, I was training twice a day, 2 hours, 4 hours, like it was an insane regimen because I was in college, so it was a lot. And so like once I stopped, I just stopped, and I was like, this is terrible. I feel terrible. I don't like this. And it was honestly a godsend. I don't know how I ended up following all these kettlebell sport athletes, but I did, and here we are. Coaching sport. And I mean, honestly, I don't do sport the way I did before. I do bent pressing, but that's still like my thing, that I have a thing I'm working towards and I can be competitive with. Not that anyone's like competing with me, but I can compete with myself, and I have like things I'm trying to work towards.
And that's the most important thing that matters, is how you feel about what you're doing. With boxing though, it's not just the working towards something, it's also the release of just tension and getting that out. So actually punching someone, a heavy bag, focus mitt, the air, it feels great, especially with like just regular day stress, having that little outlet where you're allowed to punch, be strong, and nobody really judges you for that. And I think I think it's like, the same with juggling as well, right?
Yeah, it's you can flip the crap out of a bell, and like that's freaking cool, and it feels good. And also sometimes I do throw the bell at the ground because so I get that as well. I love juggling. How did you come into juggling? Because I know I feel like I've kind of seen your juggling journey. I don't know if that's
well you mentioned boxing, and my boxing coach actually juggles. So cool. Tony Wallace, he learned to juggle. I don't know who he said he learned from videos and just watching people. He's that type of learner. So he always juggled, and I would always attempt, but there was always like this fear of hurting yourself, missing the bell, like you just have irrational fears when you're trying things new, especially throwing a weighted object around. So it's always been around with my martial arts training. So with martial arts training, there's a lot of kettlebell training. We do a lot of snatches, swings, explosive work. And the kettlebell is a great instrument to like help with building strength and speed for martial arts. So I've always kind of used the kettlebell. We've always had one in the house. I've always something about the pandemic though, being shut down and dealing with all the trauma of the pandemic, there's a kind of, are we allowed to swear on your podcast?
Yeah, swear.
Yeah. So it's like I lost my last fuck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when you care too much about like little things, like hurt, like, so it's like, it's not that I wanted to hurt myself. It's just, I didn't care as much. It's like going outside. And throwing it. And honestly, that's the first lesson I got from my coach was go outside somewhere, throw it as high as you can, and just let it drop a few times. And that kind of helped me relax and kind of get into the rhythm and the flow of it. But once you like really get into it, it's very similar, the movements, punching and kicking, flipping, as to throwing. It's the same type of energy. So like finding those grooves feel really nice when you like get something or you catch it the right way. Now I started with Tony Wallace, but then I got coaching from Oksana Nikifor.
Oh, cool.
And she is a legend, classic.
She's phenomenal.
Classic juggler. And I think I'll probably go back at some point. It's just, life is challenging, trying to literally juggle your life and then find time for this privilege that we get to do, which is play with a weighted eye, throw it up, and try to be
literally throw a kettlebell around.
Yeah. And her thing is like with Russian classic, they like it high, and it's a performance. Like you're performing with the bell. It's not, so it's like ballet. It's like watching ballet. It's very effortless. It's very, even though they're doing very complex things.
I associate it with like figure skating a lot, like the way that they move. I mean, also their outfits are very figure skating.
Yeah.
To me.
Yes. Yes. I'm for the drama. I'm for the drama.
Yes, I love the drama. And like the way it's scored too feels like figure skating, like the rotations of the bell, the turns of the person. Like it feels very figure skating, like vibes. Yeah, Oksana was the first person I saw juggle. Actually, I saw her like in person. She was at. Yeah, this is how I started, like, found juggling, was I went to the Cali Open, which is like a big kettlebell competition. It's Cali Open World, like, championships. And they did like a juggling, like, exhibition type thing there. And there's a couple like people competing, but she was like a judge. And she did a full Russian style juggling like thing, and it was like with the music and with her like pretty, because her bells like painted her the colors, and she had her outfit, and I was like, that is so fucking cool. Like,
Absolutely.
I was like that. I had been doing sport and snatch and like whatever, and I was like, I had met Jay Moran, and he doesn't really juggle anymore, but he was like a big juggler when I started doing juggling, and I was like, this is so cool. I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna learn how to do this now. So that's how I like found it. It was like, she's rad. I want to do what she's doing. And then at that point, it was like there's like 6 of us. Like there was nobody juggling. It was like Jay and Tanya and Jay's wife Jen, and Oksana. So it was just like us doing our thing. And I mean, like, it's so fun. She's so phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And I feel like so insanely lucky that like that was the first thing I saw of juggling. How insane that I like went to a competition and she was just there and like doing like an amazing thing.
Absolutely.
So I got to see like there's like 4 or 5 jugglers there doing like their little exhibition movement flow. I don't know, show, but they were getting judged, so I guess it was a comp. It was really cool. It was a really cool
sounds
thing.
cool.
And then obviously I'm not like, I don't do sport like competition style juggling, because I'd have to like focus on different things, but I mostly just vibe when I juggle. And I think that's so cool that you worked. I love Oksana. I've never talked to her, like I just think she's super rad. I love all the women who do everything. I'm like, oh man, look at you go. That's why because I like, I feel like I've like seen your like, you do all your cool shit and you're strong as hell. Like I get really pumped when I saw your like deadlift the other month or so, and you're just strong and you're punching things, and it's so cool. I love women. I'm weird about that.
Well, we're pretty cool.
Yeah. And and then I have you to send fun dog videos too, so that's also a bonus.
Amazing. Yes, the dog videos and butt videos.
Lots of butt videos. and then tortoise videos now.
Just random stuff.
Yeah. Do you like come up with your own juggling like sequences like these days, or you do that like, or do you like have like a set like sequence that you're trying to do when you juggle?
Okay, so I've been perfecting elements, but that gets boring. It's like notes of music, you know what I mean? So you're doing the same thing over and over again. And usually like to do it correctly, you have to do it over and over and over. And my brain just is not kind of set up that way. With juggling right now, it's like I want to be awesome. It's like I see the best in the world do it, and I'm like, I'm gonna do that one. for whatever reason.
That's me watching Colin every single time. I'm like, I can do that. And then I throw the bell into a shed for 15 minutes and I'm like, all right, well.
Which happens a lot. I don't know how many times I've done that to Justin, who's been juggling way longer than me, but I'll see something he does and I'm like, that looks cool. I'm going to do it. And he's just like, yeah, go ahead. Sure. Try. Try and get back to me and tell me how it went. But I don't so before I used to just throw the bell around. I didn't really understand all the elements because I was just playing. And then when I got coaching, I started learning the elements. So I started practicing them more. And I don't know if you'll remember way back during the pandemic, I reached out to you and Justin and I was like, how do you guys learn your sequences? Is there like a secret society?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
There's this Telegram group that everybody's on that's training for Spain. Yeah. So the people that are training for Spain, and there's like 54 of them on the group, they all kind of talk about what they're training, what they're working on. So it's like Justin brought it up 2 weeks ago. He's like, you asked us about the secret society and now we're in the secret society. So that's kind of where I learn my sequences. I start with basic elements and then I try to build, but sometimes I get bored, if I'm honest, and I try to do something that's outside of my skill level, but I usually have to come back to basics and just try to work with that. So yeah, and I don't like to get, like, as soon as I start getting frustrated, I stop practicing, because I want it to remain fun and I want to like be like a kid with it. I don't want to be I don't want to get into the like, because this is, again, it's a privilege and it's special. Like, it's a special thing to have this instrument that I can take with me to the park. I can take with me to the lake. I can show other people how to use it. So I really try, like, and I feel like when you're frustrated, you're more likely to hurt yourself or not find the rhythm properly. So that's usually how, so when I juggle, usually, sometimes I just juggle, but sometimes it's like at the tail end of a workout. And sometimes it's like, I've told myself I'm not going to touch the kettlebell this week, and then I'll see something you do, or I'll see something somebody else does, and then all of a sudden I'm in the corner with all my mats, that kid with the helmet.
Got your mats, you gotta do it. I think like, because you were saying like sometimes you gotta try something outside, but like sometimes you just gotta try something that's outside of your normal and like push it, because you'll never know if you're always staying in that like same 6 exercises, or I mean, it's a bunch. Juggling has so many exercises, it's hard to keep track of them all. But if you're always like just doing the same thing, you never like push it, you'll never know. So it's like, well, let me just see, maybe I can today. And I have some moves that I do that sometimes. I'm like, I can't do it yet, but it'll come. I just have to keep building.
See, when I talk to other jugglers, I want to say one thing, because you're gonna have your clients and other people that follow you in fitness listening to this. We're talking very casually about something that's not really like, because we say this because we're jugglers. Oh yeah, we should try it. Try something new. Blah blah blah. This is not for everybody. This is like, you have to have an unusual amount of bravery to want to throw a kettlebell and catch it. There's a lot of fear you have to work through. And I feel like because you are a former athlete, you kind of possess, and you have that competitiveness in you. So I feel like it's for a certain type. I do stunt work. Do you know what I mean? So there's like there's an unusual bravery I have with the actual weight to throw it and catch it. So I think it's good for people to try it, but it's good to try really slow, and if you can find a coach.
Yes, because we've been doing it for a minute.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So knowing that what my limits are, and knowing that I know how to bail if it goes terribly, like that's an important skill. Like same thing with like Turkish get-ups, bent presses, like any of these big like grindy
Olympic lifting
kind of lifts. Exactly. You need to know how to bail. And with juggling, it's the same thing. It's like, I know if I fling it over my face, I can just, I can push it out of the way, and I'm very confident in that ability. But maybe if you're listening to this and you've never juggled, not for you. My rule is always for juggling, because I have clients who juggle, is you have to be able to swing, clean, and snatch effectively and safely. If you can't do that, like, we can't juggle, because you have to have know how to swing, because that's the basis of basically every single movement in juggling. You have to be able to clean, so I know that you know how to push your hand through the bell with timing, and you have to be able to snatch, so I know that your overhead position is solid enough that you can, and you're stable in that position, so we can do statics and have the timing to push your hand through the bell for that, and like have that different timing, because all of that's really important. And once you have those, then you can add a simple flip, and then we build from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a progression. Definitely like a good point, because like, the way we're doing it is a different way, because we've been doing it.
We're a different way.
Jugglers are a different way. But like, if people want to see it, that's always my like scary, like, because like I had a video a couple weeks ago kind of like go viral with my juggling, and it had like, and there's people like, I want to try this, and I'm like, okay, well, I have a bunch of tutorials, but make sure you can swing. And so it's like 14,000 comments, or 1,400 comments of me being like, that's great, check out this video of mine on the progressions on how to swing, because I don't want you to get hurt. So like we can, and I think that's true of like, you know, any lift as well. Like once you know the basics, and once you know what your foundation is, then you can kind of tweak and break the rules, and push it in a way that the average person may not.
Absolutely. And I will say this as well. If you're new, the checklist that you have, it's superb. It's like, that's exactly what you need to do sequence. So just breaking all the things down into smaller bites, learning those, but also the desire to do it. I feel like for me, you know, I've been in the game for a while. If I'm going to teach you to juggle or throw or punch, you have to want to do it. It has to be more than, oh, you saw somebody on the internet and looked cool. Like, tell me why you want to learn. And I think that's a big one in training, is understanding your why. Like, why am I doing this? And it has to go beyond looking cool on the internet, because that's like all superficial BS, right? So the why, along with the technique and the skill and the foundation.
You have to, that's also excellent, because you can't just do things for Instagram, though. I mean, I post my stuff on Instagram, but like, also I do a lot of the stuff not on Instagram. I think
absolutely that won't get the clicks, right? Nobody wants to see you foam roll or do your mobility or do your
or do the or do like 15,000 reps of over the shoulder catch. Over the shoulder. Nobody cares about that. Or like, okay, like, or the build up to like getting under the leg, because like, you know, to do an under the leg flip, you got to be able to like bring your leg that high. You have to have the timing. So there's like a lot of little pieces to build into that, but nobody cares about any of that. That was my stupid viral video. Like people be like, well, now you have to do it on the other side, and I was like, I did. This is
from the couch 30 with the popcorn. Do it from the other side.
Now you have to do your other arm. It was uneven. I was like, this is 30 seconds of like a 90-minute like shenanigans of me messing around outside. Like this isn't the whole workout I did in 30 seconds. Like, you didn't see any of the buildup to get to that.
Nor should everybody. Like, I feel, and again, I feel like people don't like to see the reps, but everybody loves a good montage, right? Everybody wants to see the failure, but they want to see that montage. And like, I find like a minute's too long for people's attention. Like, and like when you create content, those are things you pay attention to. It's like, how long can I keep your attention to say, look at this thing. I'm trying to motivate you. I'm trying to educate you. I'm trying to empower you, whatever it is. But nobody wants to see the jammed finger. Sorry, I have a jammed finger right now.
I break
the jammed fingers.
That's the finger I jam the most, though. Honestly, like the middle finger, because this is, you know, an audio format. But like, I've jammed I've broken my nails off of my thumb so many times. My nails. If I don't trim my nails before, I will trim them during, because that kettlebell will slice those nails right off. Yup. Yep. So I don't have long nails. They're not cute.
And
Whatever.
I know, and I haven't been doing kettlebell juggling for very long, but I know I love it because like I'll jam a finger and then it's like one of these where you're like, oh, is it broken? No. Yep. Okay, you're okay. Let's go.
Let's try again.
You just keep going.
You jam it. And you're like, oh, I almost made that catch. I was right there. Yes, I was so close. Okay, I know what to do this time. And then you do it over and over again, and then you jam your finger 3 more times before you actually make it. Yes. It's a psychotic act to do juggling, and also I presume to do boxing where you're actively getting punched at, you're. Yeah.
Well, we agree. It's a gentle person agreement, right? We agree that we're going to punch each other in the face. So it's not like unsuspecting punches, like someone's just going to come out when I'm drinking my coffee and punch me. Like we've trained for this. We're agreeing to this duel with fist. And I don't like getting punched either, but you know what I mean? And so the idea of not getting punched informs my footwork.
It's a good motivator.
It informs my footwork and my head movement and what my hands do. So yeah, there's elements of every sport that I don't like. I don't like how long, I'm over 40. I don't like how long it takes me to recover now from heavy lifts. So that's like things I have to consider. And that's just part of there's things that suck about it. So you have to, going back full circle to the why, you really have to know why you're doing it so you can continue to practice. And that's with anything. Like even if we're talking about instruments, if you're going to go through sore fingers, if you're a guitar player, bass player, all those things. But you have to know why you're doing it to actually learn a cool song. And that's like juggling.
Yeah. You gotta find, because it's gotta be worth it. Like, and I think that's the big thing with strength. Like you said, if it sucks and you hate going into the gym or going into your thing and doing your reps and your sets every time, and you don't want to do it, and it's miserable and you're not having a good time every single time, because there are going to be workouts that aren't fun. Like that's just the long and short of it. There's going to be days that suck, but like if it's most of the time you feel better after it and you like doing it, then you're going to keep doing it. And I find that's why I like, because I coach, like I said, I coach some jugglers, and it's mostly like they fucking hated doing their workouts. They didn't like doing it. So doing juggling makes them want to move more, and that's rad. It's like, yes, you want to move, and if this is the way you want to move and it makes you feel cool and you feel strong and powerful because you flipped a bell over your head, that's so cool. Let's keep doing it.
Absolutely.
It makes it worth the the jammed fingers and the slight misses of your face. So like oh god. Oh my god,
boxing has been good for that. Like the times that like I've almost hit myself in the face and I'm just like with my hands.
You're just like boxing is I don't think I could do boxing. I feel like I would be I feel like I would be scared to do like a person boxing. Like I've done like boxing classes. I think I would be like, don't punch me, please. I don't want to get I did boxing a lot as I played goalie, so fast hands were like a very important part. So we did boxing to like cross train like our hand speed to make catches. And then I did boxing later. My husband got me like a little mitt set. Well, he's my boyfriend at the time, but he got me that so we could like box together and we could practice, and it was good cardio. And then I did boxing. I taught boxing like classes. Cardio classes with punching. And so like that was fun, and like, but the idea of someone coming at me, I don't think I could do. I've been knocked in the face too many times and hit hard playing soccer and stuff that I don't, like I said, like, I don't think that would be fun for me. I think it would be stressful.
It's not fun. It is stressful. But here's the thing, that's life, right? So it's kind of the ultimate, like martial arts and actual contact sport. It's kind of like life. The consequences are real, and they inform how you move. And you move accordingly, and you govern yourself accordingly. And sometimes like there's nothing you can do. Sometimes you have a good fight and, you know, like the judges give it to somebody else, because there's always, things can go either way. But it's a good, everything that you said about your journey and what you know about boxing is excellent, because you don't have to go all the way with it. You can, it's great cardio, and it's great, honestly, for your mental health as well. I think we're in a time now where there's, a lot of things are outside of our control right now. Like, you're getting fire from my country, like smoke from my country. Like, it's like things are really, and I think a lot of people are frustrated. We're seeing a lot of violence happening, senseless violence happening with people on like public transit and things like that. So I think just punching and working your heart is great. Like, it doesn't have to be somebody punching you. However, I do think that if you're prepared for it, it's like if I prepared you and I said, hey, Tiffany, at some point in the day, I'm going to jump out in a ninja costume and I'm going to, you know what I mean? But here's the move you're going to do, and it'll be super killer if you can land this move. Then you're prepared. So you know.
That would be fun. I would be looking over my shoulder all day, but it would be fun. My heart rate would be up.
But that's boxing, right? Like, sometimes you have to take a punch, like, to give back a combo. So it's like you take a punch, but then that allows you to do like a really cool combo. And it's like sometimes you'll have to take that punch a couple times. You'll have to eat it a couple times. Yeah. But when you throw your combo, it's going to be excellent because you timed it. Exactly. So the punching, everybody's like, the punching part, and it's like, but that's not, there's so much other beautiful stuff around.
There's a bunch of other good stuff
around the
you
suffering.
Don't necessarily,
no, the suffering's there. I don't want to say the suffering's there. But it's sometimes just part of
I mean, that's part of any of it. Like you said, like it's part of it's part of life, but it's a part of training. If you want to be good at something, if you want to be, you know, push yourself and get stronger, be able to punch somebody in the face and be able to take a punch, you're going to have to struggle, and you're going to have to push yourself, and you're going to have to go through some, you know, shitty workouts and hard workouts. Like when I do sport a lot, like my big thing is just like embracing the suck. When I do like long cycle, like with snatch, doesn't suck so much for me. I really love doing snatching, but like I do long cycle or jerks, most of those workouts are embracing that it's going to suck a little bit, and knowing that I'm going to be stronger for it, and I'm probably going to feel good at the end of it most of the time, not every time, because sometimes it just sucks, but you have to be able to embrace that, and you know, you'll be better for it. It's not always fun.
Absolutely.
I think it's cool to have fun, and I have a lot of fun with my training, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just hard.
Part of it. It's part of it.
And you have a gym. How is that? That seems so hard to run a gym. Having worked in a lot of like
I like hard things. I do all the hard things.
I do.
Yes, it is hard.
Having worked in like a lot of like small business type gyms, it seems really stressful and really, really hard. How did you how do you own a gym? Like, how did you start with the gym ownership?
Well, I worked in a commercial gym for 3 years. Yeah. So there's a large commercial chain here in Canada that I was a part of, and I was really good at what I did. But I hated the environment. So usually when you're unhappy with things, you kind of look at what can you do to change that situation. And I'm, again, unusually brave. So I pivot very well, which is a word we heard way too much, but I'm very good at redirecting, adapting, and moving forward. So I worked in a commercial gym for 3 years, and I don't want to knock commercial gyms because, you know, you have to get access where you can get access, and they're super convenient for people, but there's such a difference of the whys. All the whys are, so it's like there's somebody in there who's in the space that doesn't know how to use the space and is unsure. And then there's somebody in there that's doing performing enhancing drugs, and they know what to do, and they're, you know, walking around with very like, so there's such a difference in energies and the way people come into the space that I wish there was a way we could do it different. And it's corporate, so it's never gonna, once something is that corporate, it's never going to be a healthy space.
No.
So
it's all about selling in those gyms. That's why when I was, because I've, I think every trainer and coach has worked in a commercial gym at one point or another. And it's not about the people in those gyms. It's about selling packages, selling higher level memberships. And that's what it's about, which is, I hated it. I couldn't do it.
Absolutely.
I was like, I don't feel like this is helping you. So absolutely. I don't feel like selling it.
So me, I'm a disruptor. So I went in there and I had a boxing boot camp, and it was probably like I won awards for how great this boxing camp was. So there were people that sought me out, but a large number of those people who sought me out were people who would just see me around the gym and just feel unsure about entering the weight room. And it's all women like, I see you lifting weights. Can you show me? So I started a strength program, and again, it was very popular. So now we get to the stage where I have a bit of a following. I'm guiding people into spaces in the gym they didn't feel comfortable with. My husband at the time, he was working for a nutrition company. So he was doing online coaching, but also has a powerlifting background, an Olympic lifting background, gym rat like me. So I got to the point where I was just like, I'm not happy. Like, I like what I do, but I think we're just going to have to get a little space somewhere where I can control the environment. And I didn't realize like how powerful that is for people to go. Cause like, we talked about how fitness is deeply uninteresting. Also, it's supposed to be for your health, but a lot of people enter these spaces and then leave with more baggage than they do actually getting help and healthy. So I had it in me to create a space where we could just do fitness without the bullshit, basically. And that's our whole thing, is fitness without the bullshit. We're not a commercial gym. So you can't just come in. There's no open gym really. We have semi-private training, and we have really dorky fun classes. So there's kettlebell classes and boxing classes, but we have like a lot of costume classes and dance, things designed to make you feel good on a number of levels, not just physical. We want to kind of prepare you to be a body that's constantly attacked in the world. Do you know what I mean? As women, our bodies are constantly attacked. If you don't fit in the gender binary, you're constantly attacked. So there's a lot of reasons why people don't feel comfortable in places that are supposed to make them feel healthy. So we decided to make that space, and we've been at it now in our own space. We used to rent space from different gyms, but we've been at it now for, this is our 7th year. We've made it through the pandemic. And you asked if it's hard. It's so difficult because we're small. We're a literal mom and pop shop. We went through a pandemic, so we're digging ourselves out of a hole. And I think when you get into business, you understand that like you'll never have one source of revenue. And it's kind of sad in this day and age. It's like you hope that you can work one job and that will be enough. But if you don't have enough resources or backing, sometimes you have to find other things to do. So as a business owner, to make what we want to make and stuff, to get through it, like I mentioned stunt work. That's something that's come up for me this year. So I got to work on a really cool project that I can talk about next year. But like filling in the gaps is basically how we make it work. So it's like, yes, I run a gym, but I also am suited for other things that I can take small contracts here and there. And that's how we make it work. My husband also does like online programs and things like that. So that's how you run a gym. So you run a gym, but that's one part of your business. You have to have several different branches. Depending on how you want to live, basically. And like, I don't have an extravagant lifestyle, but by certain standards, I do. Like, I live in Toronto. I drive a car. I have a dog. Like, you know, I didn't even mention kids yet. That's a different level of expense that I can't really take on board right now. So that's just how it is. So yes, it's difficult, like everything we've talked about and everything I do. And I feel like a lot of other people in my position might have just given up. But I think the space is so important. And I think the space lasted because it's very important. It's important to a lot of people that breathed life into it when the government tried to shut it down so many times. And it's very special. So like even during the pandemic, we had to move. So like we had to move gyms and like where we live. So everybody from the gym, all the members came out, they helped with the move, they helped with the renos, we moved into this axe throwing place, so they helped.
It's a community in there. You've created a community of badass strong people. Like that's worth it. It's worth the effort on that.
And the community is why we're badass strong people. Like, it doesn't matter who lifts what in the gym. Like, we have like a couple monster lifters, but nobody, like most of the powerlifting, we have a powerlifting team, and it's mostly moms and ladies in their 40s. Do you know what I mean?
That's great. But that's badass that they're doing powerlifting. Like,
absolutely.
Like, that's not a thing in a commercial gym. You're not generally going to see like moms doing powerlifting. That's you've created like a cool environment and a cool space that's like an option for people to do.
We have moms that bring their kids in with them, and that's something like my husband and I was like, can you imagine if your mom brought you into like a boxing class? Like, that just like would blow my mind if my parents took interest in the kind of alt sports that interested
my parents
me.
didn't do any sports at all. My dad was in the Navy, so he did what they told him to do for military for PT. So, and he would run, and he didn't like it. I don't think my mom ever did any sort of strength training workouts or anything. So like that's so cool to like see your mom doing a badass thing, boxing or lifting heavy weights that like makes them. Then I work with people who have like their kids, like because I do online, so we're training in homes, and their kids come in, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, that's your kids, like that's fine. You're making it work, and it's cool that your kids get to see you do this thing that you're doing that's hard, and they get to see you push yourself and be awesome. And I love it. That's so cool. That's I know running a gym is hard because I've seen it a bunch of times. But it feels really worth it, like the community that you created. And it's cool. It's cool that you got to do that. Because I know like the small gyms that I have worked at, like that community was so important. And when I lost that, it was devastating. When Core closed, which is like the gym I trained at and coached at in San Diego, it felt like someone had died. Like I have never, I was so sad. It was the saddest thing. When I found Core through Instagram, I went and I was visiting San Diego, figuring out if we're going to move there. And I got tagged by some guy. He's like, oh, you're going to San Diego. You have to go. And I was like, this is really scary, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to this gym while I'm on vacation and go do a workout. So I did. And I like left that space, and I was like, that is where I want to be. Like, I want to be in that gym. And so when we moved down there, I trained there. I was on their sport team, and it was so cool. And then I eventually got to coach there, and it was the coolest thing, because I was like, this is what I wanted. Like, I wanted to be here coaching people in this space that makes me excited to train and makes me excited to learn. And then when it shut down, it was prior to the pandemic for landlord things, and it was such a loss. Like, there's no kettlebell sport community in San Diego anymore. Like, really, like it's gone, because there isn't that hub, that community isn't there anymore. And it's such a bummer. When I found out, I cried so much. So like the fact that you get to be the person to create that space is like gotta be such an honor too, like that you get to do that.
It's a team. It's a team. It's a team.
I know it's not just you.
It's not me. I don't want anybody to listen to me like stuff. No, we have a team, and we all have our responsibilities. And like, if I was by myself, like if I was a trainer by myself, there would be no way I could.
No, but you get to be
run a gym. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a place I get to go to every day. And notice I say I get to go to, because I love it. I love what
Mhm.
we've created. I love the space. I love what we do. You know, sometimes there are lots of things that aren't fun about it, but at the end of the
Mhm.
day, my values align with what I'm doing. And when I worked at
Mhm.
the big chain, they did not align, because you mentioned the
Yeah.
sales and the corporate nature. And it's like, that did not feel good. And the environment
No.
did not feel good. So it's really
No.
cool that I could
And then there's
create
always
this.
like shady like things in the walls, and like it's always like all about being smaller, and
Yes,
like
yes,
and
yes.
that's like I know like my with my own business, like that's not what I'm working on. Like I'm
Yeah,
working on,
yeah,
it's pushing ourselves and being strong, and like there's never any talk about shrinking. We're trying to be our best selves, and that doesn't include making myself smaller.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that was like the hardest thing. Like when you're working in those big gyms, you're just like everything around is about losing weight and about being small and about becoming tiny, especially for women. It's all about becoming tiny.
yeah,
And that's it was such a it felt terrible to be in that
yeah,
every day. You're just
yeah,
like, I don't think I don't like this. I don't want to
yeah,
see, you know, you're I couldn't think of any of them at the moment, but like all those like crazy strong, like if you don't do it today, you're never gonna do it, like all those insane like things that are they're just like negative. It doesn't make the environment for a gym welcoming, and it makes it scary, which is kind of what they want, because they just want you to buy a membership and then never come back, so they can make their money.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When people get mad at the space, it's like I get mad at the space. I get mad at those spaces because they create more harm than they do good. And they're a real estate investment basically for that corporation. That corporation is going to oversell memberships because it knows that 60% of those members aren't going to go to the gym, and they're just going to keep taking their money. So it's like,
Yep.
that's why it, like, again, it's just insidious in that way, right? You're gonna be unsure, you want to feel healthy, you want to go, and then you're going to be pumped full of all these messagings that don't really align. And there's so many reasons to not feel welcome, safe in a gym, like even with like how things are gendered, even like what, like boys look like this and they're muscular and they do these things, and girls
And
look like
look at this lady doing yoga, like
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like, you know, don't like all like the gym that I worked at a bunch, various capacities for. They kept buying businesses that I worked for. It was terrible. Won't say them because I don't want to get in trouble. But all of the men are ginormous, and they've got their weights and they're curling, and all of the women are picking up these tiny little weights, and they're doing yoga, and you're just like, man, this is not making any woman want to pick up a weight. Like this is such a bummer. Like there's so much equipment here that could be used. Why are we scaring women away from lifting and try, because maybe you hate weightlifting.
Well,
Valid.
patriarchy.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, like, but like just gotta give it a shot. And then every time you talk to any woman, and there's just like, oh, I don't want to get bulky. Like, bold of you to assume that you could get bulky. It's gonna take a lot of effort. I've been training for years, and I don't like. I would love to be bigger.
Yeah,
it takes so much.
It's I used to get really annoyed when people say like the words that we like, the I don't want to say trigger words, but like toned and not bulky. And it's like, these are things that society have conditioned women to think, right? And it's like,
that they have to
can't
be.
absolutely, like, oh, I can't lift more than X amount because then my arms will get jacked. And it's like, I've been trying to get my arms jacked for like 10 years. So like,
I
got the one modified push-up you're gonna do that's just gonna make you the Hulk.
That's gonna make you the Hulk. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I taught at this like studio gym. It was like one with the headsets, and you like have the music. It was very fun, but it was a lot of like Pilates mom type vibe, where they're like very afraid of being big. And I was telling her to grab a weight, and I was like, try this heavier weight, and she's like, well, I don't want to get bulky. And I was like, it's okay, like do you think I'm bulky? And she was like, yes. And I was like, well, that's insane. But
you set yourself up for that one.
I know, but I was like in the throes of an eating disorder at the time. Like I was very small, and I was like, okay. I was like, but even then, like I had been training for like 5 years consistently. I was like, unless you train consistently and like eat a shit ton, you're not going to get bulky. And like also even then you probably won't. Like
totally.
I was like, what do you mean? I was so small. Like she'd be terrified to see me now. Scare her away. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay to be bulky. It's okay to take up space. It's okay to take up like that's my other thing with like Turkish get-ups is always my biggest because men don't tend to have this problem. Women always have this problem, or women identifying people at least. Like they they always want to be small on their Turkish get up. Yeah. And so they always say really small, and it's really, really hard. And I was like, you have to take up space. It doesn't matter where you are. You have to. Men never have had this problem when I'm coaching them through Turkish. They'll spread out, and it's not a problem. But when you got to be open and you got to take up the space. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to roll up. You're not going to have the. This is so much harder to get up. This is so much easier to move up through. And it's is like you have to like, and for like, you know, sport and like all sorts of things, you have to be able to, you have to be okay with taking up the space, and being aggressive. Yeah. And you know, comes back to our juggling and your boxing, you know, like you gotta we've come back around to the end. I know we gotta go. I don't want to like take up too much of your time, though I could talk to you for a million years. I'll bring you back to talk about stunt stuff when you're allowed to talk about stunt stuff. Because that's very exciting. I would love to hear about that. That's rad. That's fun. Yeah. How can people find you and work with you? And like, how do we find you on the internet? And
well, you can go to ironliontraining.ca, and that's our website, and you can read a little bit about my journey, the program director, who's my husband, and we also have a couple coaches working with us, one being my dog. She's the official breeder.
I feel it.
You can find me on Instagram, Steph Iron Lioness, and you can find Iron Lion Training and like some of the people that frequent our studio space on our business page, which is also Iron Lion Training. But yeah, find me. I'm pretty responsive. I answer questions. My personal, like Steph Iron Lioness, is more about showing that large bodies can do things. So it's more motivational than it is educational. And if you wanted to work with me, you just visit the website and there's like a getting started form. And I work with people online and I work with people in person. But I have a really small roster just because running the business and doing the other type of work. It's a lot of work. I have clients that I've worked with for 10 years. And usually people work with, like, we have other trainers who they'll work before they will work with me just because, again, just experience. I want to work with people who want to do the work. So there's a ready, willing, and ableness that comes with that. Some people are ready, but they're not willing. And some people are able, but they're not ready. So there's a lot of all the stars have to align.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. It's so nice to like actually get to talk to you. I feel like we've been like kind of talking back and forth for a while. Sent me some fabulous memes. So it's good to like get to hear your voice and see your face. This is awesome. Absolutely. And yeah, definitely follow her on all of the things. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for coming on.
And that was my episode with Steph. She is so, so awesome. So I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. You can find her on Instagram and TikTok at Steph Iron Lioness, and you can find her gym at Iron Lion Training, and her website is also ironliontraining.ca. All of this is linked in our show notes, and I will see y'all next time.